Japan's leading car makers face uncertainty as US President-elect Donald Trump signals major policy changes aimed at revitalizing American manufacturing.
Japanese automakers are optimistic about the trade discussions between Tokyo and Washington. The two sides reached a basic agreement in late.
But I just signed the largest trade deal in history. I think maybe the largest deal in history with Japan.
When something unusual is unfolding across North America's industrial landscape. Quiet, almost invisible, but powerful, enough to reshape the future of the auto world. No breaking headlines, no grand speeches, only silence. Yet behind that silence, the foundations of an industry are shifting. Japan's renowned car makers, the same ones that helped define America's reputation for quality and reliability, are beginning to step away. Not because they've been outmatched, but because they've lost patience. Years of mounting tariffs, unpredictable policies, and trade friction have forced them to reconsider where they belong. And in that silence, a quiet migration has already begun. One that may change the balance of power across the continent. Auto industry is a symbol of national pride, a cornerstone of its economy and its largest export. For decades, it has been a vital link between Asia and North America. But now that bridge is shaking under the weight of new US tariffs introduced under President Trump's administration. The immediate fallout has already begun. In early 2025, Subaru's president and chief operating officer of America, Jeff Walters, made an announcement that confirmed what many inside the industry had feared for months. The company's plant in Lafayette, Indiana, would stop producing the Outback, its best-selling model in North America. Instead, production for Canada's market would move back to GMA Japan. The reason was clear. Japan's free trade deal with Canada shields it from the tariff crossfire, crippling US operations. For Subaru, it wasn't only a shift in production. It was a statement. The company slashed imports from the US to Canada by more than half in a single year, dropping from 26% to just 10%. The cause was a pair of 25% tariffs, one imposed by Washington and the other by Ottawa, creating a financial dead end for cross-border manufacturing. The numbers tell the story. In Japan, vehicles make up more than a quarter of exports headed for the US, and roughly 8% of jobs are tied to the auto sector. Now, those exports face tariffs as high as 49% own any car produced in Japan and sold to the American market. For suppliers and workers across Japan, the consequences are severe. Many face losses and some may not survive the downturn. As one supplier put it, survival now depends on endurance, not innovation. But Subaru's decision was more than an isolated retreat. It marked the first quiet sign of a much bigger movement, a northward migration reshaping the future of North American manufacturing. Before going deeper, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It helps us reach more viewers who want real analysis on what's shaping the global economy. Following Subaru's move, other Japanese automakers began redrawing their maps. Giants like Toyota and Honda, and smaller names such as Mazda and Mitsubishi started repositioning their supply chains, research hubs, and production facilities away from the US and toward Canada. The contrast between Ottawa's policy stability and Washington's tariff roller coaster was hard to ignore. Industry analysts estimate that Japanese automakers are losing around $25 billion each year because of American tariffs alone, and Toyota bears nearly half that burden. Against that backdrop, Ontario's reputation as a safe haven for global manufacturers is growing fast, and the ripple effect extends far beyond new vehicle production. With tariffs no-witting imported auto parts, the cost of making cars inside the US is climbing sharply. Even vehicles assembled domestically rely heavily on components from overseas. That means prices will rise not only for new cars, but for everyday essentials like tires, brake pads, and oil filters. While US consumers brace for higher cost, Canada is moving quickly to take advantage. Toyota and Honda are expanding their hybrid and electric vehicle capacity north of the border, transforming Canada into the next anchor of Asia's automotive network in North America. Smaller brands like Mazda, Mitsubishi, and Subaru have begun moving logistics and research operations to Toronto, which is now seen as a neutral, low-risk bridge between East Asia and Western markets. Economists are calling it the quietest yet most strategic shift of 2025. Not an exodus, but a calculated redirection. The priority has changed. Corporations are no longer betting on proximity. They're betting on predictability. That shift is already reshaping Canada's industrial map. Across Ontario, cities like A-List and Cambridge are feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The region is experiencing a kind of economic déjà vu, echoing the 1980s when Japanese automakers first arrived and helped lift Canada out of a manufacturing slump. The same towns that once relied on American factories are buzzing again. powered by Japanese capital and long-term planning. Today, Ontario hosts 7 Japanese automotive plants, 5 producing light vehicles, 1 building engines, and another focused on trucks. They're supported by a network of part suppliers, logistics companies, and engineering firms that together sustain around 30,000 direct jobs, with thousands more connected indirectly. Over decades, these plants have built far more than cars. They've built consistency. Japan's automakers have invested more than $14.6 billion in Canada so far, and that number continues to climb as more companies shift operations from the US market. Since 1993, Canada has become a net exporter of Japanese-made vehicles, sending over 5.2 million cars to global markets. What began as a contingency plan has evolved into an industrial identity. Canada's open trade policies, political steadiness, and skilled workforce have turned it into the quiet hub of Japan's automotive presence in North America. Behind the revival lies an irony few in Washington anticipated. The tariffs meant to strengthen American industry have instead created an opportunity for others, particularly for the growing Japan-Canada alliance. Trump's tariff strategy was designed to bring production back to US soil, but their result has been the opposite. By applying 25% tariffs on steel, aluminum, vehicles, and auto parts, Washington made domestic manufacturing more expensive than assembling those same cars just across the border. According to analysts at Fusion TG, when you combine layered tariffs on both parts and finished products, the final cost of a car imported into the US can more than double. For multinational automakers, that math leaves little room for loyalty. The companies that once relied on American plants have adapted quickly, adopting what insiders call a split supply model. Research and development now stay in Japan, while manufacturing shifts to Ontario and exports move across global markets. The design minimizes exposure to tariffs while keeping access to North American consumers intact. Canada, for its part, has learned to play the long game. Through the CPTPP free trade framework, Ottawa maintains open trade with Japan, bypassing the barriers that now dominate US policy. It's a rare position, one that allows Canada to stay competitive without violating any North American trade agreements. The same tariffs meant to isolate foreign rivals have instead become leverage for Ottawa, turning protectionism abroad into prosperity at home. It isn't the first time history has unfolded this way. The North American auto industry has been here before. In the early 1980s, the US faced a strikingly similar situation. President Ronald Reagan introduced a voluntary export restraint on Japanese vehicles, effectively capping imports and acting like a 60% tariff. The intent was to protect American automakers from foreign competition, but Japan responded with strategy, not retreat. Within a few years, Honda and Toyota established massive plants in Ontario. Honda in 1984, Toyota in 1986. The move transformed Canada into what economists then called North America's industrial backdoor. Vehicles built there bypassed US import limits while keeping production on the continent. It was a win for Japan and a revival for Canada's manufacturing sector. 4 decades later, the same pattern is re-emerging. As Washington builds walls, Japan steps around them and Canada opens its doors. But this time, the stakes are much higher. Global supply chains, electric vehicle investments, and the clean energy transition all depend on where companies choose to build. And through all of it, one constant gives Canada its quiet edge: trust. That reliability. That sense of rules staying steady over time is magnetic in a world where policies shift overnight. For multinational corporations, stability has become its own currency. Once again, Canada's quiet consistency is proving to be one of its greatest economic advantages. What began as a Yam-Japanese adjustment has evolved into something far larger, a global realignment. The same strategy that guided Subaru, Toyota, and Honda North is now spreading across continents. European and South Korean automakers are following the same playbook, relocating investments, logistics hubs, and R&D centers to Canada to reach the north. American market without getting trapped in tariff disputes. Toronto, long known for its finance sector, is now becoming a nerve center for export management and logistics. Companies are using Canada's network of free trade agreements as a strategic advantage, staying close to US consumers while avoiding policy volatility. Meanwhile, Japan's electric vehicle supply chain is merging with Canada's growing battery and mineral ecosystem in Ontario and Quebec. Lithium, nickel, and cobalt, once viewed as commodities, have become the foundation of a clean energy bridge connecting Asia and North America. Analysts call it a structural reset of global trade. Canada, once seen as a secondary player, is becoming a bridge economy, stable, open, and increasingly indispensable to both East and West. Every tariff wall the US builds, Canadian officials say, opens another door for them. Each time Washington turns inward, the global supply chain learns to move around it. And that tour seems to end in Canada. Companies aren't abandoning the United States out of defiance or hostility.